Michael Ross, how much does the need to maintain oil access and energy for economic development, how much does that constrain U.S. policy with regard to either pushing for democratization, rule of law, and things like that in all parts of the world?
I think it makes a big difference. The irony of U.S. policies in the Middle East is that on one hand, the Bush administration has been claiming that it would like to promote greater democracy, greater opportunities for women, greater respect for the rule of law. But at the same time, the U.S. is so dependent on oil exports from Saudi Arabia, from Kuwait, from the other countries in the region, that it's very reluctant to press these governments very hard on this issue. And in fact, you could argue that all of the that U.S. consumers, by buying oil from these countries, is putting money in the hands of the rulers, who have no interest in democracy at all. In fact, are using this money to stay in power.
Well, Jim Robbins, what about the extent to which this limits not efforts toward democratization, et cetera, but also just the U.S. sort of the blunt use of military power? In looking at Iran, many analysts have said that one reason the U.S. has taken such a kind of hands-off approach with Iran so far in the face of attacks in Iraq, et cetera, is concern that oil markets are so tight that any shock to oil production that might come from military action against Iran would lead to oil spikes that the economy just couldn't handle.
I think that's a factor in the decision making. People don't want to go in there and create another war that could disrupt things even further. Iraq has not yet reached the levels of oil production that they had before the war started, and that we would like to see them at. That has something to do with why oil prices are so high. Another conflict in Iran would lead to further disruptions, and there's only so much that the global economy can take. But the other side of that coin is, to the extent that Iran is allowed to continue to spend its oil windfall on military buildup, on its nuclear program and so forth, it becomes increasingly influential in that region and increasingly a threat to the United States. So we're kind of stuck between two unacceptable policy options, and it creates quite a dilemma for the U.S.
Well, Michael Ross, we've only got a couple of minutes left, but in the near term, that is, absent being able to get some technological breakthroughs that would eliminate energy dependence, what should U.S. policymakers be doing to address the problems that we've been discussing?
Well, one thing that could be done is to simply invest more money in research on alternative fuels. A second would be to set a price floor for U.S. Gasoline prices. It would be unpopular in the short term, but if consumers know and if businesses know that prices are never going to fall below $4 a gallon for regular gas, that they need to move very quickly to invest in energy-saving technologies. And the more we can make our economy more efficient, the more we can develop new technologies, not only will this free us from this energy insecurity, dependence on countries whose exports might be unreliable, but it could also make us a world leader in this whole new industry of green technology, of sustainable, energy-efficient technologies that a lot of other countries would like to buy.
Jim Robbins, with only a few seconds left, what's your sense? Is this going to be a policy solution or a market solution?
I think the market will kick in, because when you look at oil at $200 a barrel and, $5 to $10 a gallon gasoline, that will awaken the instincts of the marketplace to solve the problem, or at least mitigate it. I don't think that the government is going to be the final arbiter of this, but a definite review of government policies is in order.
Afraid that's going to have to be the last word for today. It's all the time we have. But I'd like to thank my guests, James Robbins, Director of the Intelligence Center at Trinity Washington University, and Michael Ross, Associate Professor of Political Science at the University of California, Los Angeles. Before we go, I'd like to invite you to send us your questions or comments. You can reach us through our website at www.voanews.com/ontheline.